Welcome to Capital City News, your source for staying informed and engaged with Salt Lake City government. I'm your host, Brian Young with Salt Lake City TV. On our episode today, we spoke with Andrew Johnston about homelessness outreach and policy in the city. Our History Minute is about Martha Hughes Cannon. Before we get to those, let's take a look at our legislative update, our look back, and then take a look ahead.
At its March 8th meeting, the City Council, acting as the RDA, received briefings on amendments to the Housing Development Loan Program, the Housing Development Fund Strategy for fiscal year 22-23, and Budget Amendment 2. As the City Council, they heard briefings about the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, thriving in place, and homelessness issues, and an update on the city's sustainability efforts. To learn more, visit slc.gov/council. Mayor Mendenhall honored the Pioneer Bike Squad with keys to the city for their hard work and accomplishments. Last year alone, this unit made more than 300 arrests, pulled 40 guns off the streets, seized thousands of dollars, and confiscated harmful drugs. To watch the full event, please visit our YouTube page. Thriving in Place is Salt Lake City's community-driven process to analyze and understand gentrification and displacement. Through this work, we will develop a plan of action to address the factors that are forcing many of our friends, family members, and neighbors to leave or to live without a home because they can't find housing here that they can afford. Be part of helping our neighborhoods thrive. Visit thrivinginplaceslc.org to learn more, take the survey, and get involved.
Salt Lake City's waste and recycling teams work hard to make sure that residents' recycling, compost, and trash are picked up every week from 42,000 homes and businesses. When you find yourself behind a waste and recycling truck, be patient and put safety first. Slow down. Look for oncoming cars and workers before you attempt to pass a truck. Stop if necessary, and don't pass if you don't have full visibility or enough space. Look out for pedestrians, cyclists, children, and pets that may be obscured by the truck. Never pass a collection truck on the right. Drivers have blind spots due to the size and angles of collection equipment, and you will be in harm's way. If needed, let the truck finish its collection to keep workers, oncoming motorists, pedestrians, and yourself safe. We can all do our part to prevent accidents and keep ourselves and Salt Lake City's waste and recycling workers safe. For more information, visit slcgreen.com. Though COVID case numbers are dropping and the weather's brightening, we're not out of the woods yet. The best way to defeat COVID-19 once and for all is to make sure you and your kids are vaccinated or boosted. Be courteous and wear masks in public around folks with high-risk factors. Wash your hands and social distance wherever possible. For more information about COVID-19, visit the County Health Department website. For our interview today, we spoke with Andrew Johnston, the Director of Homelessness Outreach and Policy in Salt Lake City for the Mayor's Office. We spoke about what's going on, a current update, and what we can expect in the future.
Well, when we talk about homelessness, it's a lot of people having to be involved. It's city, it's other cities, it's the county, it's the state, it's even the federal government. So there's always a lot of partners and a lot of moving pieces simultaneously. Right now in February and March of this year, we're still in wintertime, and the overflows for emergency beds are operating right now. The former Ramada on North Temple has been seeing a good number of folks going in there. The motel rooms we've had for a couple of years, the current resource centers are running at very high capacity. So the providers are doing a great job of keeping those doors open, trying to include as many beds as possible every night for everybody who wants to, who can come inside. We always need more, but they're doing a great job right now. As we look forward, the city is still doing its community commitment program. And that's our commitment as a city to make sure that our public spaces are safe for everybody and as clean as we can keep them. And so we ask the public to continue to report when there's garbage issues or human health issues. And we can make sure that we have advantage services come out and clean. We can address issues as they come up on public streets and parks. And we're also doing a lot of services outreach. So we know there are still camps in the city. We know that they're mostly smaller than they were in the past. And the city is working with the Volunteers of America, Utah, particularly in other outreach, to go out, offer services as often as we possibly can per week, get people into the resource centers as much as possible, get their stuff into a storage facility as much as possible, get them hooked up to the courts or to food needs or healthcare needs, whatever it is. That's all still happening on a daily basis throughout the city. So we still ask the public to keep working with us, keep letting us know whether it's issues we need to address, and we'll keep sending people out to do that this wintertime. The big thing that's happened since the last few weeks is the state legislature. They convened for 45 days. They recently closed their session, and a couple of things came out that are very beneficial. Number one, the State Homelessness Mitigation Fund, which is the state fund that helps all the cities with resource centers to provide public services. That fund was almost doubled in size this year. And so there'll be about $10 million going forward. There's a new formula that's a little more equitable for cities like Salt Lake City. So we'll get much more than we have in the past. We've been getting about 400,000 or less per year. And we're going to get probably 2.75 million at least going into next year, which will be very helpful for our outreach services, our law enforcement, the things that we're already providing. The other thing that's critical about that is there is a plan going forward from the state-led to the local cities in this county to find a plan by September for overflow. And so we'll be participating in that discussion with other cities in the county and the Coalition to End Homelessness to have a plan in place as soon as possible before September that'll be workable for everyone. So we're not in this crisis again next year. We've been in for 3 years running. The other piece that's going to be long-term, perhaps the most important, is state affordable housing money. Now, the city's done a lot in the recent years about getting city money to help private developers build deeply affordable housing and affordable housing. We need a lot more of that from the entire state, though. And the legislature approved $55 million towards that statewide. We wish it would have been a lot more, but it's a big step forward from the state where we desperately need that housing. And because housing is really the primary way that people are going to get out of homelessness on average. We also know that there's service money attached to that, and activating Medicaid money and other service provisions will help folks with mental illness and mental health issues, substance use issues, all the things that might complicate their ability to get and maintain housing.
As we're looking at next steps, what should people be looking for to see the city doing, and what's sort of in the process already?
Well, I think the biggest thing is making sure there's a bigger coalition of people to work on this. The city spent over $60 million on affordable housing, and it's not nearly enough because we can't do it alone. So we needed the other cities to step in with zoning. We need the state to step in with money and to help with those things. That is what we need to solve this. We need the county support with their behavioral health services. We need all of that together, right? From the city's end, we got to keep doing our part. That means continuing to put money towards affordable housing, which we're doing every year. We need to help zoning with the right type of housing, the right neighborhoods that'll address this. And there's various measures in front of the city council right now. The other thing from the city end is the city council is currently evaluating a text amendment that looks at what is our zoning for emergency shelter beds or homeless resource centers. They'll be looking at that in the next few weeks, getting public comment on that and trying to make some decisions about how the city can be a leader, obviously, because we're the capital city, but also to promote best practices and work with all of our neighbors and partners to make sure that all of us are carrying this load.
For residents in the city who want to keep up with this and learn more about this, all of the issues in general, where can they go? Who can they reach out to?
Well, the first thing is the city website. So the mayor's office, there's a city dashboard. They can look at real-time information on homelessness and our efforts. And then the city council website also, where they can track the city council discussions about the zoning amendments and things. The other place I would go is the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. They have a website, and I would go there to get the plans for this county on how to address this long term, because that's crucial for folks to understand that there is longer term planning going on, but we had to make sure that from a state and a local level, we have the right funding and resources and zoning to make those plans operational.
Time again for the History Minute.
Born in 1857, Martha Hughes was a Welsh immigrant to the United States and came to Salt Lake City with her family of LDS converts in 1861. Maddie, as she was known, was a gifted student. By the age of 14, she was a school teacher and a typesetter for a newspaper called the Women's Exponent. After that, she received a degree in chemistry. Then she traveled to Michigan to study medicine, then Pennsylvania to earn a bachelor's degree in pharmacy, as well as a diploma from the National School of Elocution and Oratory. When she returned to Salt Lake City, she served as a resident physician at the Deseret Hospital from 1882 to 1886. There, she became the fourth wife of the hospital's superintendent, Angus M. Cannon. After a brief European exile from the state due to the political pressures of her polygamous marriage, Dr. Martha Hughes Cannon returned to Utah to teach medicine at the hospital that eventually became part of the University of Utah School of Medicine. During this time, she became active in the women's suffrage movement and, in 1896, decided to run for an open seat in the state legislature against her husband. The Tribune endorsed her husband, and the Herald endorsed her, saying, quote, "Mrs. Mattie Hughes Cannon, his wife, is the better man of the two. Send Mrs. Cannon to the state senate and let Mr. Cannon, as a Republican, remain at home to manage home industry." She won, the first woman ever elected to a state legislature in the United States. Cannon served 2 terms and was noted for her efforts to fund public health initiatives. Once she left the legislature, she continued to make her mark in the state of Utah until her husband's passing in 1915, when she moved to Los Angeles to work at the Graves Clinic until her death in 1932. Dr. Cannon was buried at Salt Lake City Cemetery, and a statue honoring her is on display at the state capitol.
That's it for another installment of Capital City News. Remember, the best way to stay engaged is to stay informed. You can do that by following us on social media at SLC.gov, subscribing to us on YouTube, or watching us on Channel 17. So, reporting in from the Salt Lake City and County building, I'm Brian Young.